Hey y'all, Mike Edwards here. I'm here with Sara. We'll come to you in a second. Hi, Sara. And
Hi.
welcome to Empowered Until Further Notice. It's the podcast and video cast. It's all about ideas and different perspectives. And rather than judging them from the beginning, what if we empowered them until we know something different, until further notice? So, Sara, welcome. I'm thrilled to have you here with me. I think we have a really cool topic, something I could use more of in my life. Probably a lot of people could. So, but before we go there, Sara, why don't you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, Mike. Thank you so much. And hi, everyone else who's watching and listening. So, as you said, my name is Sara. I'm a coach, I'm a Daring to Rest facilitator. I also run Driftwood, which is my own coaching company. And I primarily work with men and teens who are really done feeling stuck, fed up. I'm feeling lost and would like to turn things around and just, be happy and get what they're after. And yeah.
That's so awesome. Well, and I really love your brand, Driftwood,
Thank you.
right?
Thank you
Because
so
you know
much.
me, I love the outdoors and camping, and
And it's
right.
all about, yeah, it's about, I speak a lot about journeying and adventure, and I resonate lots with nature, which I know is something else we connect on. And so, yeah, all the power of nature and wolves, and yes, so
Yeah.
driftwood.
And you live that too, right? The adventure. And
Yes,
and what I'm pointing to is you drive a motorcycle.
I do. I ride a Harley, a fat boy named Artax. That's I'm so connected to him. It's a him. It's a Artax. And yeah, we go on adventure. Artax and I met in Dubai when I lived there, and he came into my life. And after a few years journeying and adventuring through the desert, we're now up in the mountains in Italy and enjoying the amazing, all the twists and the switchbacks and the turns and, nature and riding through forests. So
Yeah, very different kind of adventure from what you had
yeah,
in Dubai.
very different. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So in this episode, Sara and I are going to talk about something which is really important. And I
Mm,
titled it The Art of Doing Nothing, right?
yes.
And you pointed to that you're also a daring to rest facilitator. And
Yes.
I love the title, Daring to Rest, because too often in this world, rest is seen as weakness or unimportant or unproductive, right? And I think of the corporate environments where if you're not productive by their definition, you're failing.
Yes, totally. Yes, and that reminds me so much. I think it's a Brené Brown. Brené Brown will say that, in a world where overwhelmed and being burnt out, it's almost like a status symbol. It takes courage to rest. It takes courage to pause and just rest. And daring to rest is actually the name of the program that my teacher Karen Brody designed and that I just took part in. And so I'm a soon to be, almost to be, certified Daring to Rest facilitator. And that's exactly what she called it. That it takes, it's a conscious decision that we take to just hit pause and
Mm,
rest.
yeah,
And as you were saying, often people say associate this idea of rest with being lazy,
right.
not being productive, not being efficient. And, an awful thing is like, oh, I'll rest when I die or something like that. This mentality. That's the only time. No.
I know, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about rest for a second here, because when it comes to rest, there are times that I binge watch on Netflix and I go, I'm resting, right?
Yes.
Because I'm in the new, and actually sometimes I'll truly rest because I'll fall asleep there.
Exactly.
Just
That's
ask
the
Rosie,
best
my
thing.
wife,
Yes.
right? But when you talk about rest, like
Yes.
what is it you're talking about? Let's get really specific here.
Yes. I love the question and the discernment that you pointed to. Rest to me and to it's really like the absence of doing anything. It's the opposite of that. It's literally it's the art of doing nothing. We often think that Watching Netflix is rest. It's maybe can lean towards relaxation, but we are still at some point doing something. Our brain is still busy doing something, right? And so
Right.
rest can be also different things to different people. But something like that is very restful could be as simple as sitting, watching the sunset or the sunrise
Mm.
while doing nothing, or
Hmm.
enjoying a cup of tea while really connecting to the warmth, to the scent of the tea, to the herbs, to whatever it is, or sitting. I'm sure you've done this plenty time, but like if you go camping and you're out in nature, like either laying down on the grass, taking in the vastness and the power of nature, or just staring out over a lake.
Yes.
And we can also talk about different types of rest. There is physical rest, mental rest, emotional rest, social rest from all the hustle and bustle out there and all the connecting, sensory rest, emotional rest. So there's really different kind of rest as well. And the idea is that, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, so like the different kinds of rest, that's implying to me is I could be out in the woods going for a walk quietly by myself. So I'm physically moving,
Yes.
right? But there's still rest going on up
Yes.
here or
Yes.
in
And
whatever dimension.
yeah, what you're pointing to under the physical rest, there are two components. There is active rest, the more active component. So, for instance, even to having a massage or doing some yin yoga or going for a walk in nature, or there's also the more passive component of rest, which could simply be just sleeping, napping, you know.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
but definitely even doing things like Tai Chi, Qigong, those are also considered as more active type of rest.
Mm. Interesting. So it's on a spectrum then,
It's on a
right?
spectrum for sure. Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
it also has lots and lots to do, whatever the choice of rest, but it has lots to do with being in connection with self, like finding out
Mm.
what's going on in my body, my emotional state, my thoughts, noticing my thoughts, feeling literally my body. Do I feel like if I'm walking, do I feel like I want to speed up or to slow down? Maybe I want to stop and sit here for a while. I'm noticing a thought or there's an emotion that comes online. And so it also has a lot to do with awareness and awareness of self.
Mm. Yeah, awareness of self and I make up it's also what are we feeling? Right?
Yeah.
Like there's times, and I learned this from a mentor both of us had, Art, right?
Hmm.
Is when I'm out walking, slow it down by half and really pay attention to the sensation of what's going on.
Yes.
And then slow it down again and slow it down again.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
impact can be significant in terms of what that feeling and sensation brings to me.
Yeah. That act of slowing down, and there's also an active rest practice that you refer to it as a mindful walk. But it's
Mm.
this idea, and if it could be done like barefoot, that's perfect. But like walking ever so slowly so that you're feeling absolutely every single tiny movement that your foot makes on the ground and really feeling it as if your feet were kissing the earth, right?
Mm.
Feeling all the sensations that are coming up and the muscles moving and the tendons and see what that, like, all of a sudden it's almost as if the outside world kind of like ceased to exist for a second and you're there,
Right,
you're present, and
right.
you're paying attention to that and to what's
Yes.
happening inside of you.
Yeah, and too often we don't spend enough time paying attention to those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Let
then
me
this
just pause for a second here. Somebody's joined us live. Whoever you are, welcome. We're glad you're here.
what?
Please feel free to comment. And in the comments from wherever it is you're watching us, in the comments, if you got a question or a thought or something to contribute, please go for it. So rest, I mean, we're in a busy world, right?
Yes.
And you go to work and you're in meetings and so on and so like how does this rest thing happen? How can we get the rest?
Yeah. What I love about it is that it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be so incredibly simple, and it could take just even a few minutes, even in between meetings, in between calls, even in between replying to emails. And it's about taking that decision of making a pause and say, okay, I just hit send on that email before moving on to the next one. I'll say, let me pause and let me breathe 2 deep breaths, and that already helps regulate our system, activates a relaxation response and helps us ground, come back when I said, or going to the next meeting, or if I'm in the car, maybe I drop someone off and I'm waiting for the person to return. Parents of going with kids at like soccer practice or whatever, and they often end up spending an hour or so in
Yes.
the car. What a perfect
Yeah.
time.
And what do they do, right?
Yes, exactly. Another email, another message, another call, but even
Yeah.
just taking the time, or um, it's really about making the time, and it doesn't have to be hours and hours. It could be something as simple as I said, as a few minutes. It could be as simple as noticing the way I'm breathing and slowing it down. It could be
Yes.
as simple as I'm pausing, stop looking at the screen, look outside of the window and just look at the whatever is in front of you, if you're in nature or if you can look at the sky and what's happening out there.
Hmm. Just
That pause.
noticing the world around you.
Yes. And as you
Yeah.
notice that, like sometimes it's about when I'm about to start something, I'm about to enter a meeting, and take a moment and say, okay, how am I showing up? What's going on? Or I'm nervous, or I'm upset from the previous conversation, or I'm super excited about sharing this. And so noticing that and being real with it, and also thinking, okay, let me take a breath. What impact do I want to have? How do I want to show up in this meeting? You know,
Hmm.
and just that, even that's just so impactful already, and it's a start. And if then, of course, we can make a regular practice of integrating rest in our daily lives for half an hour,
Right.
45 minutes, and when we can't, maybe 15 minutes.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You're making me think that, from again, I'm going to keep going back to the corporate stuff because that's where we really get pushed to be highly productive and so on. Or a
Yes,
lot of times people are pushed for that. And it could be as simple as from one meeting to the next, assuming you're in person, of course, you
yes,
take the long way there.
yes. Totally. Or,
Hey, we got Joanne with us here.
hi,
Love
Joanne.
this subject. I was curious as to the best way to take purposeful rest in small sizes. I like examples as to how we can take bite-sized rest versus an hour of meditation. Joanne, I totally agree. Sometimes I'm going, an hour of meditation? I don't have time for that.
Yes, yes,
Right? Thoughts?
yes.
Like, what would you put in here?
I know.
We
I love the question. It sounds like even just simple, something as simple as to disconnect from what I'm doing, and like Mike was saying, go to the meeting or go to the long way around. Or if you can walk outside of the building, walk around and then come back in. Or for instance, pause, take a couple of deep breaths, or decide, okay, I'm going to put a timer on and I'll spend the next 2 minutes, 3 minutes, however you can, to really just notice how I'm breathing. Am I
Mhm.
breathing from my nose? Am I breathing from my mouth? Am I breathing up high? Am I breathing down in my belly? And maybe changing that. Or there are some very simple, there is a technique called the square breathing. And all you do, you visualize literally as if you were drawing the four sides of a square. And with each, so you will count 4 seconds as you're inhaling. Then you count 4 seconds as you're holding. Then you count 4 seconds as you're exhaling, and then 4 seconds as you're holding your breath. And so just doing that for 4 seconds every time, then you can do that 3 rounds of that or 4 rounds of that. And that already will completely shift the way you feel, the way your nervous system is acting. It activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the relaxation response, which means that we start producing then the nice kind of hormones. We reduce the production of cortisol. Lots of lots of good things start happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
use square breathing, and what I like about it, I can be in the middle of a meeting, and
Yes.
yeah, I'm not really paying attention as much for a couple minutes, but I
Yes.
can reground myself with some square breathing,
Yes.
very simply.
Yes.
The
Absolutely.
the other thing I do, and I do this for all my customers, if I'm in meetings that are longer than an hour, because especially online, it can be exhausting,
Yes.
right? Is if we're in it for longer than an hour, once an hour, we take a break.
Yeah.
And usually it's a 5 minute break. It's all it takes, just 5 minutes. And my
Yes.
only ask of them is get away from your computer and devices. Go outside. For me, I often will just go downstairs to the basement and back up, right?
Yes.
And just that gives me a mental break.
Absolutely. Even just like that, so often we underestimate the importance and the power of our own body as a tool to shift the way we feel and to shift things around. And so especially if we've been sitting down, and lately especially, we have associated the idea that sitting down in front of the computer means work, meetings, classes, whatever, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. And so even just for like standing up and start jumping up and down, or put some music on, or go for a walk, or do some stretching, or whatever is your jam, really doesn't matter, but
Yeah.
move, change your physical posture, and your
Mhm.
energy will change, the way you feel will change.
So when you say change the physical posture, it's stand
Yes.
up or sit down or like
Yes.
whatever it is, just do something different.
Do something different. Like if your body's been sitting here, like do something that is different. Yes.
Hmm. Joanne says, yep, love the square breathing.
Oh,
I know Joanne extremely well, and so I'm not surprised she knows what square breathing is. So
yes.
thanks, Joanne.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what if people want to go further, though? Oh, wait a sec. Um, Joanne's still with us here. Was wondering if there's any studies about weight loss in these small breaks. I know that there's a correlation between sleep at night and weight loss.
Mhm. Okay, I can definitely look into. There isn't anything that I can quote right now. There definitely have been several studies as well that associate rest with all of the physical benefits that that brings. From reducing inflammation, to managing pain, anxiety, anything, sleep, insomnia, and so the whole thing. It does affect the production of our hormones as well. And when I was saying, when we manage to also get a good night's sleep, when we really get into those super slow brain waves where organs regeneration begins, cells regeneration begins, that's also where cortisol gets moved out of the body, for instance. And so all of this together, I'm sure there is also correlation with like weight loss and with how often we hold on to things, including weight, when there is like something else, right? Like an
Yes.
emotional stress as well, because that's it. Like we're tense, we're holding on to things. And so while I cannot right now quote anything, but I'll be more than happy to, look into that and share maybe via mic.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, others send it to me and I'm happy to share it. Or just go to this LinkedIn post. Joanne's coming to us through LinkedIn. So go
Yes,
to the LinkedIn post and just comment there and let's build on the conversation. I think
absolutely.
that's I think that's really important and a game changer for me. A friend of mine, I'll give her credit, Anne Marie Kong, gave me this idea. Anne Marie taught me, no, she suggested that when it comes to sleep, as in sleep at night, we don't get enough. And the biggest reason why, we set an alarm. And so she eliminated the alarm from her life, and I did shortly after she told me this. And the idea being, if you're waking up too late, then you're not going to bed soon enough because your body needs an amount of rest.
Mhm.
And so I ditched the alarm clock. I haven't used an alarm clock in, with a couple exceptions, I haven't used an alarm clock in, I don't know, probably close to a decade now. And the exceptions are, I got a plane to catch, and guess what? They're not waiting.
Yes. And often that also means that you would need to wake up at an odd hour, sometimes in
Yes,
the middle of the night, or something different is going on. Otherwise, your
exactly.
body knows.
Yeah, but it was a game changer,
Yeah.
right? Like allowing my body to have the rest it needs. Oops, I didn't wake up as early as I want. I guess I got to go to bed sooner,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Yes. I just want that brought me, if I can share, that made me think of a book that I was recently introduced to. Maybe I can share it, but it's
Yeah.
Dr. Ruben Nyman. The title is Healing Night. He's a sleep specialist, and he talks about all the importance of sleep, and also the fact that with the coming of modern age and industrialization and all of that, and the invention of light, we prolonged the hours of light in the day.
Oh, good
Even
point.
outside is night, we're still insisting for it to be bright and light inside. There are cities where you can no longer even notice that it became dark outside because everything is so lit and bright.
Yes.
However, our bodies are still very much the same bodies that, function with sunrise, sunset, circadian rhythms, and a natural rhythm to nature, to cycles. There's a time to rest and a time to wake. And so
Right.
it's super interesting what Rubin talks about in his book, and the importance of sleep, and good quality sleep as well,
Yeah.
because it has a function as well, sleep, you know uh, when it's from integrating emotions, clearing
Yes.
out the stuff that our brain needs. Literally, the brain is like, I'm going to keep this, I'm going to remove that, let's integrate this emotion, and so it's hugely important.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about a lot of small ways to get rest and natural ways, sleep, right?
Yes.
You're studying this thing called yoga ni-
Nidra.
nidra. Thank you.
Nidra.
I was going to
Yes.
get that wrong, by the way. Yoga nidra,
Yes. Yes.
which suggests to me there's very intentional things people can do to get
Yes.
rest, right? Without
Absolutely.
going to bed per se.
Yes, without the sleeping, right? Yoga Nidra,
Yeah.
one of the ways in which Yoga Nidra is also known is sleepless sleep, because it's a series of tools, it's a series of techniques that takes you through different states of awareness. All the way, it's almost as if you're journeying through your states of awareness, from like waking to relaxing, down into dreaming, deep dreaming, and then you come back out at the other end of Yoga Nidra to back to the waking state. But in that journey as well, it's a sleep-based guided meditation technique. It's
Mm,
ancient. It's
mhm.
called yoga because it lives in the word of yoga teaching and kind of lifestyle spirituality. But Yoga Nidra in Sanskrit actually means yogic sleep. So the sleep of the yogi, really.
Mm.
And it's about that state of awareness you can potentially reach, where there's deep surrender, there is bliss, there is natural peace and quiet. And we're also with Yoga Nidra, the progression through these states of consciousness, literally, we are taking the brain, we're slowing the brain waves down the same way we do when we go into deep, deep sleep. And so we go from the beta brain waves when we are awake into alpha, down into deep alpha, and then theta, delta. And so it's there then. And you can get the same benefits that you get from deep sleep while remaining aware. So
Mm.
it's with a trace of awareness. This is also what Yoga Nidra is. And it brings all the benefits of rest, sleep, meditation, all in one.
Sounds pretty powerful. Do you have an example? Can you do something quickly for anybody watching to see what does that mean?
I can do, yeah, sure. So of the various techniques that take you through that journey, and that's typically a journey that would take 30 to 45 minutes, the whole journey. And as I said, it uses breath sensing technique, body awareness technique, visualization, imagery. So there's a lot of techniques that make a whole yoga nidra experience. But maybe what we could try today is one of the small component, which has to do with body awareness and body sensing.
I love that idea.
How does that sound?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're going to actually do this. I'm standing. Is that an issue?
Yeah, you can
Should
do
I
it
sit?
standing if you wish.
Okay, cool. Yep.
You can do, you can. This is more about body sensing, so it's really about awareness. Maybe one thing that helps lots of people, if it feels right, and if you're in a position where you can do so, maybe it's either close your eyes or just soften your gaze. But you can also do this with your eyes open. And it's maybe we can just take a couple of deep breaths to really connect to our body. And while we're doing that, really setting the intention that we're about to journey through our body. And what I'll do, I'll name a specific body part. And as you hear that body part named, just maybe say that name of that body part to yourself in your head. And just place attention on that spot, imagining that there is a softening in this area, a resting, something that allows that body part to just relax deeply and letting it go. And let's begin from your belly, maybe like just a point below your belly button, like when your core is, where your center is. And so from your belly, placing your attention there for just maybe a deep breath, really feeling that point. Now let's start journeying, shifting your attention to your right hip, right knee, right ankle, right foot, tip of your right toes, right foot, right ankle, right knee, right hip, belly, left hip, left knee, left ankle, left foot, tip of your left toes, left foot, left ankle, left knee, left hip, back to your center, belly. And now moving on to the right shoulder, right elbow, right wrist, right hand, tip of your right fingers, right hand, right wrist, right elbow, right shoulder, belly, left shoulder, left elbow, left wrist, left hand, tip of your left fingers, left hand, left wrist, left elbow, left shoulder, belly, middle of your chest, belly, hollow of your throat, belly, space between your eyebrows, and back to the belly. And just take a couple of deep breaths here, sensing and feeling any sensation, anything at all that might pop up. And when you feel ready, start moving however in however way your body wants you to move. You need to yawn, make a sound, stretch, and open your eyes and come back to present moment. How did that feel?
Well, for me, that felt great. Like what I was finding as you were going is there was sensation in each one of those places. Because as you said it, I know what's happening. I focus there.
Yes.
Right. And so
Yes.
what it did is it took away the 300 other things I've been thinking about I need to get to today.
Yes. And that's
Yeah.
yeah. Basically awareness. And so this is just, it was just a tiny, tiny taste of, what the full journey could be like and could feel
Right.
like.
Right. I also make up it's the kind of thing, if I was alone per se, I could just do that myself. Focus here, focus here, focus here, focus here, and so
Yes.
on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So benefits. Let's talk benefits for a second.
Sure.
Why care so much about rest? Yeah, there's the stuff like Joanne brought up with weight and the physical things.
Yes.
But what are the other benefits?
Well, to begin with, if you want to function and function well, you need to be rested. We don't realize that, but a system, there's, as you say, there's physical benefits, there's emotional benefits, there's psychological benefits from reducing stress, having a clearer mind, being able to also increasing our window of tolerance so that
Yes.
we can respond better to stressful situation. We can bounce back quicker from upsets, from anything that doesn't go the way that, we wanted it to go. Our creativity will improve, our intuition will improve, our connection, having a steady mind, it also helps really through journey. When we remove all the distractions, all the noise, everything that is going on, and we are left with just ourselves, it becomes much easier to go within, to connect with our inner core, with our inner nature, to really find out, awaken our heart, a connection that we have, and to really get in touch with our truest identity, getting in touch with our purpose.
Yeah.
Who we are. Why are we here? What am I doing?
Exactly.
Yeah. But to do that, we need to slow down. We need to remove the clutter, the distractions, the noise. And to really, so it's really also a journey of connection to self. Yoga Nidra.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can see why. I'm doing a course right now called Psychology for Coaches. Not that I'm going to try to do psychology. It's just to study the different modalities.
Yes.
And we just talked about transference and defense mechanisms. And if you're not rested and you're not in touch with that core, it is the transference and defense mechanism which are more likely to drive your actions. So as you pointed to, you get into a stressful thing, they're going to come from those places, not the true self.
Absolutely. So true. And also like with the emotion that come online, there's if I'm not rested, I tend to become that emotion or let that emotion rule me and decide, right? Whereas where I am grounded, I'm in touch, I'm connected with myself, I can also take that space and see, okay, this is an emotion, and an emotion will pass, will change. Okay, now this is moving away and this is coming online. Oh, interesting. But I'm not that. So it's not anymore I'm angry, but I'm sensing there's anger, or, oh, hold on, what's this? Oh, okay, this is stress. This is frustration, but it's not. And so there's that. And also with learning how to be present with what is, also allows me to be present with whatever emotion is online. So whether it's a positive, whether the emotions that we typically label as positive versus the one we typically label as negative, right?
Yes.
Whatever comes online, I can be with it and I can allow it to take the journey it needs to take, to go through, do whatever it needs to, and then leave. So whether it's
Yes.
grief or happiness, frustration or joy, but in yoga nidra as well, whatever shows up, then we become the observer, the
Yeah.
witness.
Yeah. 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 And it sounds like so we can see beyond the emotion.
Yes.
Right. I'm angry. Like that's an emotion that comes up. Okay, what's really behind that? Because
Yes.
that's what's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't deny the emotion, but I can see something more clearly.
Yeah. Yes. And also becoming less reactive, because when I become the observer and I witness with consciousness, then I can be more natural, more neutral, more objective.
Yes.
I don't get pulled in and sucked in. And so I
Yes.
can allow it and I can allow it to pass. And that also helps me process things. Yoga Nidra as well has been proven to help with, even with trauma or PTSD or other, anxiety, depression, insomnia, because it has that component.
Mm. Yeah. Wow.
And it's all done with you doing nothing. That's why it's the art of doing nothing, because you lay down and the rest all happens at deep level of consciousness, where we can rewire our brain. And often people have reported having freed themselves of something that had been with them for years, just while doing yoga nidra, without even having to talk about it, without having to relive it, without having to go there and express nothing, but it just kind of melts away.
Yeah. That's why I loved when you shared that label of the art of doing nothing. It's like, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I titled this episode that, because it is an art.
Yes. And it's just, kick up your feet, close your eyes, and listen to the guidance and allow the journey to happen. You allow whatever needs to happen. You allow rest to happen. You don't force anything on it.
No, because then you're not resting.
Yes.
I get the sense you just answered my next question is, what do you want people to take away from this?
The first thing that comes to mind is that it can be simple.
Mm.
And that all it takes is a conscious decision to include rest in some form, whether it's a minute or an hour, but to take that decision, and that it can be incredibly simple, and that the benefits will be huge.
Oh,
And that to understand that functioning when stressed, tired, burnt out, overwhelmed, all over the place, it's not really function. It's more like surviving, but you're not producing the quality of the output would be higher if we could function from a place of being rested, grounded, in connection with ourselves, our values, our purpose, identity. And that's true leadership for me as well.
Yeah. How true. Yeah. Looking after this.
Yes.
Right? Like what's here. Absolutely.
Yes.
So this has been incredible. What a great conversation.
Thank
How
you.
can people find out more if they're curious, they want to find you? And I know you have a program that's starting tomorrow, right?
Yes. So
please share. How can people find you?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. So the program is called Rest Then. It's RNR for men. This round it's specifically for men. It's a 40-day rest program during which they get to literally do nothing other than listening to the guided yoga nidra meditations for 40 days. The opening call is tomorrow, and the 40 days officially kick off on October 5th. And so people are still welcome to join. If they head to my website, drifttofires.com, and they can get in touch with me, they can book a call with me, and that's where the conversation starts. And, I can share more information about the program, how it works. But yeah, it's in a nutshell, as I said, kick up your feet, close your eyes, do the nidra, and that's it. Get the benefits.
Yeah, and I'm going to be there, and I'm looking forward to it because somebody tells me I get to do nothing and I get benefit from it. I'm totally in.
I mean, sign me up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, Sara, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks, Joanna, as well, for the lovely comments and questions. I loved being here, and thank you so much again.
Awesome. And for everybody else, keep an eye on social media. I'm booking next week's call episode, and some other exciting stuff coming up too. So see you all soon. Have yourself a great and restful day.
Bye.